welcome back to our little devotional channel. Y'all, I just love this community so much. I want to thank y'all so much for all of your prayers after yesterday's devotional. I've been reading them this morning in the comments, and I knew y'all were praying for me, and I knew y'all would pray for me if I ask. And I just love that we have this place that we can come together and lift each other up in prayer, whatever the circumstance, whatever the need. And it's just a beautiful place. It's just a beautiful thing. And I'm not as heavy-hearted as I was yesterday. There's something still there, just nagging. I don't know what it is. I'm praying about it. And in the comments, y'all made some very good points about sometimes the Lord would just have us stand in the gap for somebody or something, and we may not even know what it is, but just being obedient, being mindful, being aware that that is possibly what's going on. It's true. And then others of y'all have commented about y'all are feeling the same way with just the state of everything that is going on in our world, in our own country. And it's a lot to bear. It's a lot to have on us. There's much to pray about. And I just think that sometimes it can just get a bit overwhelming, and there just comes a heaviness with it, And quite honestly, those of us who have a relationship with the Lord, have a prayer life, believe in the Lord, we truly are standing in the gap for our country. Because I look at it now and I'm wondering, okay, I've heard my granny mention it many times before, and things weren't even to the state they are now, but she was like, how much more is God gonna let us get away with? He destroyed Sodom and Gomorrah for such filth and nastiness, such evil and corruption. How much more are we going to get by with? It's our prayers and the grace and mercy of God that is getting us through this time. Because if you look at things, why is he being so merciful to us? It's got to be our prayers, y'all. And we just got to continue to pray and believe and trust that he has got us and he is going to take care of us. And we will have that peace in the midst of all the chaos. So, with all of that being said, I have my window up. Y'all hear the little birds? I hope that's not too distracting. I love having the little birds singing, and it's just a great reminder of God is so mindful of the little bird. The little bitty bird, he's so mindful of it. How much more is he mindful of us? And I will gladly feed the little birds. And I love to watch them. They are just such a blessing to me. I love birds. I've always loved birds. And so I hope that's not too distracting. But if you have this little book, we're going to be reading from our little book, I've Got to Talk to Somebody, God. A Woman's Conversations with God. It's Marjorie Holmes' prayers, really. And we're just going to see where the Lord leads us. I have no idea. I prayed about it. Hopefully it'll be one we haven't read. I've read that one. I had to close the window because the wind was blowing in, and I just didn't know how this was going to come off. So I just went ahead and closed it. I'll open it back up and enjoy it once this part is over. So if you have this little book, we're going to be reading from page 101. It's under the grouping Bring Us Together, and the title of it is Teach Us How to Speak. So let's begin. I'm tired of all this empty talk, Lord. The shrill exchanges at parties, the dull discussions at meetings, the meaningless banalities of greetings on the street. All our dreary accounts of our ailments, or our children, or the price of eggs. You who gave us this marvelous gift of language must despair. Why do we go through life with our mouths open, letting those inanities pour out as an excuse for speech? There is beauty within each of us, Lord, for you made us perfect in your image, and you are there. There is nobility and goodness surely through your indwelling presence. But we are so dumb and lonely and anxious and inept when we try to communicate. In our poor efforts to reach each other, we hold back our lips. We hold back. Our lips are locked, lest we reveal what we truly think and feel. It is as if we are afraid to acknowledge the living God within us, perfect and whole. Our outward imperfections stop us, our petty concerns. We are ashamed to lay claim on beauty and significance. Oh God, please help us to speak freely to each other with more dignity, joy, and purpose. Deliver us, Lord, from these empty locks of talk. Wow. Okay, first of all, I think it's quite comical that, again, this book was copyrighted in 1968. I'm not sure when she prayed this prayer, but even then, they were discussing the price of eggs. I think that's kind of comical because here we are. That has been a great discussion here of late, is how much the price of eggs has gone up. And God did give us the marvelous gift of language. And oh boy, has my mouth got me in so much trouble from the way I chose to use it. I made reference in the past of how I used to not care what I said to others or how I said it. I wouldn't care how it sounded, how it made them feel. I just didn't care. I didn't care. And I have learned so much about our words and our delivery of our words. It really became a focus when James and I first got married. We went into marriage counseling because I've stated before, we was a blended family, and we wanted to be able to, handle that, and we wanted to be able to communicate effectively. And that is when it really got brought to the forefront of your tone and how you word things can totally set the course for how a conversation is going to go. It can either be a pleasant conversation where both parties are interacting and, seeing each other's side and point and understanding and coming to a, agreement, a conclusion, whatever it may be, or it can set the path for a downright nasty argument. And I learned so much about myself in those therapy sessions in how to use my words correctly. And I try to incorporate that into my everyday life because it is so important how we speak to each other. It is so important. And this is one of the things that having a YouTube channel can really come into play sometimes, because in the comment section, there is no voice inflection. So you don't know, the person may put a comment out there, and if you read it, say if I'm in a bad mood, I'm not having a good day, and I read that comment, I could interpret that in a negative way. But on the other hand, if I'm having a good day and everything's going great, I can read that same comment and might take it in a positive way. Because there's no voice inflection, it's really up to the reader's mindset and how it is taken, And I try to always, now I don't always do this, but I do try when I'm reading the comments to understand there is no voice inflection. I don't know this person's personally. I've never talked to them personally, so I don't know how they talk. And so I don't know how some people write the way they talk, and you'll say something and it may be totally harmless, but if there's no voice inflection and you've never met that person, it can be easily taken to a negative. But I really do my best to try to find the good. And then in my everyday conversations, I really, really try to work on my tone, because tone is a big thing, and my wording, because it can totally change the whole conversation. If you go at somebody like you never, you always, well, nobody never and nobody always. But if you change it to, I feel like you always XYZ, I feel like you never XYZ, then it's changing the conversation to, I'm not saying you do this, but I'm saying this is how you make me feel, and nobody can really tell you how to feel. Does that make sense? So when we learned that in therapy, it really, really struck home with me, because I've always, well, first of all, I never cared. I didn't care if it hurt your feelings or not, quite honestly. Isn't that horrible? But that's the difference God made in me. I didn't care if it would hurt somebody's feelings. I didn't care if you cut them to the bone. I didn't care. And now I do, because now I truly try to speak with kindness and love, and to speak to others the way I would really like to be spoken to. That don't mean that the way I speak to others necessarily means that's how they speak to me. They may be rude and hateful to me, but I don't want to reciprocate that. I want to show them love and kindness. And it may sound like so trivial and such a small thing, but y'all, I'm telling you, it can make such a difference in someone's day and how we speak to them, how we communicate, our words. There is life and death in the tongue. There's life and death in our words. You can speak life into a situation, or you can speak death into a situation. And I really have caught myself, and I'm trying to catch anytime I may speak negatively into a situation that might be going on in my personal life or around me. And I want to speak life into those situations, because God is so good. There is nothing that He can't do. And just because a situation may look like hopeless to me, that does not mean God can't show up on the scene. And it may take the very act of faith that I show and how I choose to speak into that situation. It truly does matter how we speak to each other. It truly does matter in the tone and the attitude in which we speak to each other. It's so important. And y'all, I'm telling you, to hear someone display and speak kindness and love and understanding and joy is so rare these days, because the world is just so consumed with so much hurt. They're hurt. And hurt people, and they are hurting. We're looking at all this violence and anger and rage. They're hurt. And if we can ever get to that and understand that and not judge, but have love and compassion and speak life and speak faith into those situations, we will see a change. God will not ignore our faith. Faith is like a magnet to God. When He sees that faith, He is just drawn to it. And our faith then can move in a situation. You put together our tone, our words, our attitude, and our faith, God can't help but to move, and we will start to see such positive changes. And it may start out in our own homes. And I have really put into use the things that we've learned in therapy with my tone and my words. Even now to this day, as long as James and I have been married and we know each other so well, he still is a human being with emotions and feelings. And even if I'm so mad at him, I could just spit. I still am concerned about how I make him feel. And so I never want to say words that will just cut him and hurt him. Because let me tell you something, bruises and cuts heal. But that verbal, mental, y'all, once it's said, it can't be unsaid. And it's so true. And whoever said sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me, they are lying. Let me tell you something. Them sticks and stones, yeah, they gonna hurt you, but you gonna heal. But them words that have been spoken and said, they cannot be unsaid. A bell cannot be unrung. And it is so important how we speak to one another. And the love and compassion that we show one another is so important. And I practice it daily in my home, with my children, with my family, out in public. I mean, I've even caught myself here on these devotionals when I'll tell you, and I'll say we, us, you. And I'm like, no, I don't mean you, I mean me. Because I never want to say anything to offend or hurt anyone. And I've been guilty of it. To this day, as hard as I try not to, I have, and I do. But it is never with malice, and it's never intentional. And I have learned, it may be because I'm getting older, and with age comes wisdom, but I have learned sometimes it is best to just keep your mouth shut until you have calmed down and you can speak in the right tone and with the right words and not lash out in anger. There was so many times I would lash out in anger, but that is something I've learned, is to just, okay, let me collect my thoughts. Let me go over everything in my head. Let me just calm down, and then we will address it. And that's something James and I have learned about each other. When he reaches that point, we give each other space. He'll calm down. I'll calm down. We'll come together, and then we can talk rationally and not say things to intentionally hurt each other. And that's, I mean, it takes practice. And do I do that every time, all the time? No, y'all, I'm not trying to paint myself as some saint that I just do all things perfect. No. But I am proud of my successes, because let me tell you, this is what God can do. This is what God can do. Because he took someone that was just so vile and just evil and just didn't care. Didn't care for her fellow man. Now, if I loved you, I loved you, and I did care. But if I didn't love you and I just met you and I didn't care about your feelings. But God has changed that in me, and I'm so thankful for that. I'm so thankful. So, speak life into your situations. Speak faith into your situation. Speak it as though it is into your situation. It may not be that way. It may be a horrible situation. It may be everything is falling apart around you. Speak life, speak faith into that situation. Speak with love and kindness and compassion to one another. Speak to others the way that you want to be spoken to. And you may get a surprise reaction. You may not. You may get told what for. But you'll be in the right spirit, in the right way. And God will bless you. I love y'all. I hope this blesses you. Oh, this little book is such a blessing, and this community is such a blessing. I love each and every one of you. I appreciate you. I hope you know how much you matter and how much I truly, truly am honored to be in your presence. I pray you have a wonderful day, and I will see you in the next one. Bye, y'all.